Okay, hello and welcome back to the Football Rundown. We're back here to about Stockport County, of course, and we've got some big news actually coming out on this Monday night. I was actually meaning to get back to you guys on the channel at some point soon. This has given me the perfect opportunity to do so because there is actually something to talk about in a period of time at the moment where there seems to be so little to talk about. There's actually a lot to talk about now. And obviously, most people will know the news at this point. It is, of course, that Will Collar and Ibou Touray are both set to leave Stockport County this summer after rejecting new contracts. So it's an interesting one. It's less than a week since Fraser Horsfall, or it was announced that Fraser Horsfall was going to be not signing a new deal. Obviously, he's gone to Blackpool. We don't know as of yet where Will Collar's going to go. The same with Ibou Touray, but I'm sure we'll have a confirmation in the next few days once it's been decided that they're officially leaving and not going to be signing a new deal. I'm pretty sure that's almost getting to the point where we'll find out who's going to, who's going to be snapping them up, as a free transfer. And what a free transfer will be, whoever picks up both those players are getting some very talented players. But, I suppose also players that maybe are coming to the end of their careers, maybe not with Will Collar, but, you look at Ibou Touray, I think he'll be 30 or maybe 31, this December. Will Collar, it probably not been his best season. He's had, even in this season, he's had some great moments, but he did start to look a little bit off the pace in the second half of the season. So I can kind of see why Collar might have gone, and also there will be interest from elsewhere as well. So I kind of understand that. And in fact, out of the three players that have left so far, in terms of Horsfall, Touray and Will Collar, that's probably the one that I would have been the most okay with, is Will Collar leaving. I think Horsfall, big miss at the back. Touray, very solid and reliable as a left back. Will Collar is in a more attacking position, and I think we could have coped without Will Collar. We're better team with Collar in it, but I think we could have coped more without Will Collar. Then I think we're going to really struggle to replace Horsfall. And I think, as much as he has his issues going forward, Ibou Touray, I think we're going to really struggle to replace him as well. Someone that is, as I say, very rarely injured. Can't remember how many games he's missed for County since he signed 2 years ago, but he always seems to be available. And there's a lot to be said for that, because we've got players, very talented players like Nick Powell, for example, who the talent's there, but unfortunately, they're just not fit enough. There's a lot of injury problems. So Hales is another one who's had a lot of injury problems. So the talent's there with some of these players, but they're not on the pitch enough. So that's the problem. Whereas with Ibou Touray, there's no doubt about that. He's pretty much available 9 times out of 10. So I want to obviously wish everyone a good evening. It is on sad terms that we're talking about this, but let's get into the chat. Nigel said, I hope we have better options coming in, but still disappointed to see Will leave. He is now a legend for his contribution to almost 3 promotions. I wish him well. I echo that as well. And Stuart Ryan's in the chat as well. I can only assume we have better players lined up. And he put yet confirmed not good. Now, I think both those are basically saying what I think we must all be thinking as well. If we're not allowing these players to leave, in terms of we have offered them contracts, they have turned down the contracts, but we could have gone to them sooner potentially, and we've allowed it. We've been relaxed enough to let it get to this point. We obviously feel that the deal we put in front of them was a fair offer. They've obviously had better offers elsewhere. They must have done to have rejected this offer from Stockport County. So County must have had an idea, like what I said about Horsfall, that he may go elsewhere. These players may go elsewhere. So therefore, they must be relaxed and confident that they can replace these players capably as well. So as much as I'm disappointed, it also must be tinged with a little bit of excitement as to what the club might be planning this summer in terms of players coming in. But what I'd also say to that as well is there's a lot of, I've heard a lot of people say, well, actually, it won't need too many changes because look how close you were to getting promoted. So actually, we won't need that many changes. But now we're seeing big changes because we've already seen Horsfall going. We've already seen that Noyle's going. We don't know what's happening with Salva Males yet. We've already seen that now Touray's leaving and Collar's leaving. So these are big changes. They are big changes. And they're going to be big changes to have to get used to, and big changes and big players that we're going to have to replace. So, whether or not we like it or not, whether or not we thought we needed big changes or not, these are big changes that are coming in. So, I want to get people's thoughts on this one. Obviously, it's obviously coming in the last few hours. But, of course, we also have today as well, the season tickets for the 25-26 season have officially gone on general sale. That happened this morning. So, of course, we want to get your thoughts on that one. What your thoughts on the site? Maybe you're an existing season ticket holder that was renewing. How was the process of that? I think you guys have been able to after last week. I'm over the moon in the sense that I've been able to get a season ticket, so I'm happy with that one. I won't be going from random seats each week now. It's like I've been renting for the last season every game, and now I've actually found a home, and I have got a season ticket, so I will be in the same place, so that's good. But yeah, I'll get everyone's thoughts on this. Of course, we will just go into what the club have said as well. Of course, putting out the information. But before I mention that as well, just want to say over 4,000 season tickets have already been renewed or purchased for the 25-26 season as well. So that's more than half of the initial general sale allocation has already been sold. That's incredible. That is incredible. What is the cap at? Is it still 6,500? Can we go over that this season? I'm not too sure on what the details are on that one. But yeah, County said before this was released about an hour ago now on X. One of Edgeley Park's greatest goal-scoring midfielders, scorer of the goal that sealed our return to the Football League, a double title winner. Thanks for the memories, Will. Your contribution will never be forgotten. And then they've also put something out for Ibou Touray as well to say the first ever Stockport County player to represent the national team at a major tournament. Good luck, Ibou. You'll always be remembered as a champion at Edgeley Park. So yeah, it's obviously sad to see these players going, but at the end of the day, they've contributed to our success. We're now at a level where we probably are capable of bringing in players that are just as good, if not better than them. So that is how football works, isn't it? Players take you to a certain level, but eventually, both parties need to go their separate ways. And as much as I think both of them could have contributed to another season at County, particularly Ibou Touray, I actually think it's exciting now because we will bring in a left back. So I'm excited about that. But hopefully it's a left back that is well rounded. As it stands at the moment, we've got Rydell there, but we do need someone which has got both the defensive ability where they can actually defend, but also have that good balance of being able to put a good ball in, things like that. Basically, we need someone that's an upgrade on Touray going forward, but maybe just as good, if not better, defensively. So, how would you find that though? How would you find that? At League One level, that's going to be the difficulty and the challenge that County and the recruitment team is going to face this summer. Alan Hamford said that Norwich City defender Jonathan Tompkinson and Cheltenham Town fullback Arkell Jude Boyd have been mentioned. I'm aware of the talk of Jonathan Tompkinson from Norwich. He's a US, I think he's Texas-born centre back actually. His contract's up this summer, and there is talk of, I think it was Rotherham, Reading, and Stockport County being interested in him. I had a quick look at him, Wikipedia, things like that, and it didn't make great reading. I think it's 31 EFL appearances at the age of 23. He's been out on loan at Bradford and Stevenage, I think it was, and a handful of appearances there. Then he was also relegated the season just gone with Ross County over in Scotland. So it's not great. It doesn't make great reading, Jonathan Tompkinson there, but it's one of those things. I mean, look, Brad Hills didn't have exactly loads behind him before he came on loan to County, and his value's probably gone up a notch, hasn't it? After 6 months at County, and Louis Barry hadn't had the most glittering, glittering career, get the word out. Up until he went to Stockport County, and then look what happened to County, and look what happened when he went to Hull. Albeit unlucky with the injury, but County have they've got a good record at the moment of getting the best out of players that maybe haven't worked elsewhere. So I think maybe, even though I'm not completely enamoured with what's been said about Tompkinson, that's not to say we can't get a good player out of him should he end up going to County this summer. Right, this is what's been said here. Don't mind seeing the back of Touray, in full honesty. Never rated him and wish him well though. I've always liked Collar, although he has been a bit anonymous at times in the past season. Disagree with you on the first bit. I completely agree with you on the second bit. I've always been a big fan of Touray. I think very solid, very capable defender. Yes, of course, he has deficiencies to his game. He does struggle to go forward. He's not great at delivering a cross. He probably lacks a lot of confidence going forward as well. He often opts to pass it back, which can be incredibly frustrating, but good, solid, reliable. And those kind of players can be hard to come by. When I look at it, 2 years at County or 2 seasons with County, there's not a lot more you could have asked for from him in that position. Made himself available for almost every game. I think he would have played every game if he hadn't played for his national side as well. And both those seasons we've been really successful. So won the league the season before last, third place, and probably should have got automatics in the end last season. So yeah, I think his time at County has been incredibly successful, and that isn't a coincidence. He's been part of the defence that's managed that. So big fan of him. Gutted to see him go in, but we do move on. This is what County put out as well on the official website. So Stockport County can confirm Ibou Touray and Will Collar will both depart Edgy Park this summer following the expiration of their contracts. Midfielder Collar departs as one of County's great modern day servants, spending 5 seasons at SK3, clocking up 172 appearances and winning 2 league titles during his time at Edgy Park. Will joined the club in February 2021 on a free transfer from Scottish side Hamilton Academical. Originally signed as a defensive midfielder, Will's game was transformed under manager Dave Chowner as he went on to become one of the best goal-scoring midfielders Edgy Park has ever seen in many years. His runs from deep, arriving late in the penalty area to find the back of the net were a hallmark of our National League title-winning season, with Will registering 11 goals and 10 assists as we returned to the EFL for the first time in 12 years. He continued to show his ruthless eye for goal in the club's first season back in League Two, scoring 13 times in 47 appearances, as well as we fell agonisingly short of back-to-back promotions, losing to Carlisle in the League Two playoff final. Despite an injury hit 23-24 season as we secured the league title, Will returned to form and fitness this season, chipping in with 9 goals as we narrowly missed out on promotion to the Championship. This is what Simon Wilson's had to say on this as well. What can you say about Will Collar? Our fans said they would pay $1 million. He's certainly been worth worth more than $1 million to the club during this period. A fantastic signing. His goals and his performances in his time with us have been so instrumental to the success we've had. He's played in 3 great county teams and been a key part of all of them. So much of the credit has to go to Will. He came to the club on a short-term deal, looking to restart his career. He got himself into a fantastic physical condition, mitigating many of his small injuries up until that point to become a consistent performer for that team. He's also evolved from a versatile defensive player to a free-running attacking player. He's been fantastic for us, and I hope we've also been a brilliant platform for him. He leaves now with an unbelievable body of work behind him. Taking that into account into his next opportunity, he's rightly a man in demand, and we have to respect that the decision around his next move has to be the best interest of himself and his family. We will miss him greatly and hope to see him back at Edgy Park again in the future. He will always be welcome. There's things to touch on there. What was I going to say? Because the chat's going off as well. It's also about obviously being in demand a lot and obviously respecting the decision. Similar to what was said about Horsfall, really. These players will be in demand because County have created that platform for those players to succeed. I mean, it was Simon Rusk, I think, that brought him in, if I'm not mistaken. And from what I hear, one of the rare good things that he did do at Stockport County. I mean, as I say, he has been great, but I did have a feeling that it was probably coming to an end a little bit this season. Worsley said, grateful for both of them for what they have done for the club. Time to upgrade now, though. I trust in our recruitment to get that right. I mean, look, remember as well, we lost a lot of players last summer and we managed to finish 3rd in our first season back in League One. And I wasn't completely in agreement with some of those moves, but the club managed to still find a way. So, I'm sure they do know what they're doing. But yeah, you can't stop players wanting to leave. I thought, I misread that then. No, you absolutely can't stop players wanting to leave, especially when there's, in their opinion, better sort of deals elsewhere. I mean, this isn't like we decided to sell a player. And most of the time when players leave County, it is through end of contract. We don't often really tend to sell players. So it's not something you can really be massively angry at the club about. It is something which is to an extent out of our control. The thing is as well, like he's 28, Will Collar. So what kind of a contract are you going to be putting in front of him? Because we can all say maybe we should have offered him another year. Well, that would be great for Stockport County to have him for another year to take us maybe up to the Championship. But what does that do for Will Collar? Why would he sign a 1-year deal if he's got a 2 or 3, or maybe in a Horsfall 4-year type deal in front of him elsewhere? It wouldn't make any sense, especially if there's more money being offered elsewhere as well. So it's very difficult for County because they have to run themselves sustainably, like we all know. And therefore, even as much as they might have wanted Collar to stay, as much as they might have wanted to offer him a 3 or 4-year deal just to get him to play for 2 years and then look to move him on, they can't afford to do that. They have to be sustainable, and that is the frustration, and that is the thing. You know, we are trying to compete with teams. Whilst we've almost got a little bit of our arms tied behind our back because we can't do what some other teams can do. You know, we probably couldn't do what Birmingham did last season, or we probably can't do what Wrexham did last season. We do have to cut our cloth accordingly, and that does mean sometimes having to see great players leave maybe a year or two earlier than what we'd want them to leave at. Touray League 2 at best. Collar, he wants to move back down south. Well, that'll be interesting to see where he moves next, won't it, if that's the case. Touray League 2 at best. I don't know about that. I think maybe mid League One level. I think in all honesty, get my words out again. Stuart said, unless you have quality players coming in soon, then don't expect promotion. I'm not sure about that. Because I think that it's not even about. Does it matter whether or not they come in soon or if they come in August? Ollie Norwood played a huge part in us getting to 3rd place in the league, and I don't think he signed until maybe the end of August, early September. So it's not. It helps us have them in early, especially from a pre-season perspective. But at the moment, our pre-season games don't even start until early July. We've only got Bristol Rovers in Pinatar and Hull at the end of next month arranged at the moment. So I'm not sure when the pre-season starts. I think it's a bit too soon to be writing County off. I do, yeah, I do. And like I said, we have to learn as well. Last summer, a lot of big players left, and I think we would have all been a little bit like, I'm not sure about this then. And the club managed to find a way. So, you know, we're sat here 12 months on, and we've just finished 3rd in League One in our first season in 15 years. So the club will know what they're doing. I've seen some people say, good decision by the club. But to be fair, it wasn't the club who made the decision on this. But I get what they're saying. It's not the end of the world, is it? Unless someone else was to leave. There's certain players that if they were to leave, it would be like, okay, we're in trouble there. But I think at the moment we can just about deal with it. Like I said before, they are big players to lose, but as long as you replace them, and we've got a lot of time to replace them yet. At the moment, I'm fine. The biggest one at the moment for me is Horsfall going. That's the one that I'm looking at and going, are we going to be able to replace him to the level that we need to? I have my doubts on that. But in terms of Collar, I think there's other players that can step up. I think we've got other players there. Who knows? Maybe there's a sort of resurgence in the side for Odin Bailey. Who knows? Because we have seen players look like them on the way out in the past and then suddenly get an opportunity back in. I sort of think of Connell Lemonhead Evans was a little bit like that, although in the end he was moved on. But you get the point. Louis saying Collar off to Wimbledon. I feel that'd be interesting. Joining up with Miles Hippolyte, Ryan Johnson, and there's another one as well, isn't there? Wimbledon. Slipped my mind. Stuart said, just making a point, players leaving need to be replaced with equal, if not better quality. Yeah, I think it's hard to argue with that. I get your point, but I think we will do that. So, like I say, there's some players, I think Horsfall, like I just said, that's a really, really tough one to replace. In terms of Touray, he does split opinions. So some people would say, actually, he's quite easy to replace. I don't think that's not my opinion. I think he can be tough to replace. But we knew we needed to upgrade at left back anyway. Even if we kept Touray, we needed a better left back. Chris P said Joe Lewis. Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of. And if I remember correctly, didn't he leave sort of in a bad way? I could be wrong on that. Louis saying Touray maybe off to Bradford as well. I mean, bloody hell, Bradford seem to get all of them, don't they? They might as well set up a County B team over there. Then again, it says a lot about County and the culture they create, doesn't it? Because if all these players end up going to the same club afterwards, they've clearly got on well with one another. In their time at Stockport County, so that has to be. There has to be a lot said for that, and also a lot said to be said for the sort of dynamic, the teamwork, the sort of togetherness, if you like, that that exists within the county players within that squad. Just want to say a big thanks to everyone who is tuning in live as well. Don't forget to like the video if you are enjoying it, of course. I do get you focusing on this because it is big news, but it's not the only news, because we do have, of course, the season tickets on sale. We're pretty much gonna. I mean, I think we could start on season tickets by the end of this week. At the moment, with the way it's going. Although I think very, very clever from the club to put the season tickets on sale before they announced this news. Whether or not it had any bearing on people's decisions, I highly doubt it. But put it this way, I think if they'd said Tanto's off, I think people might have been ringing up saying, actually, I don't want my season ticket now. Who knows? I mean, what would it take for you to do that? Would anyone seriously do that? I don't know. I missed a bit on Ibou Touray, didn't I? I've read the bit on Collar. I mean, obviously it's on the club website, so you can read it if you want to. But yeah, I mean, obviously Ibou Touray does split opinion. But Sam Wilson, I'll just go straight to what Sam Wilson said. Ibou's been a fantastic player for us over the last 2 years. We've had 2 successful seasons as a club, and Ibou has been available for selection for nearly all that time. See, that's what I've been saying. Playing a number of roles in the team. He's a left-sided. He is a left-sided centre back, left back or wing back. I mean, he's not for me. He's only a left back. He's not particularly great as a left centre back, to be fair. And as a wing back, I think I'd do decent. No, I'm joking. But he's not a wing back though. But as a left back with a good left winger in front of him, I think he is decent. I don't think he quite gets the credit he deserves there. He goes on to say, in addition to his achievements on the pitch, he's been a member of our senior leadership group, continuing the development of our culture and role modelling many of our behaviours that we look for. We were very proud to see him represent county as part of the African Cup of Nations last year with Gambia. We offered Ibou an opportunity to stay at the club. However, as a free agent this summer, he was rightly afforded a lot of options and wanted to explore the market. It's unfortunate news for us that he leaves, but I'm delighted to see that he continues his superb career, and we wish him well, and we wish him all the best in the future. I think both very good statements there from Sam Wilson. Does talk very well as well. Of course, I'm guessing a lot of people have seen the interview he gave last week. I watched bits of it. I need to focus on it properly, but I thought he spoke really, really well and came across really well in that interview. So yeah, fills me a lot of confidence listening to him. To be honest, Louis said both being incredible professionals on and off the pitch. Unfortunate to see them go, but like you say, we can only improve and wish them all the best. I mean, look, we've got to improve. If we want to be a club that gets to the Championship and stays in the Championship, as great of players as they've been, we're going to have to improve on that. And that's not slagging them off. It's just reality. You know, players, they all have a ceiling, don't they, of where they're at. Moxon too needs to be strong. Not really much use last season until the last few matches. I think Moxon's best match was the first leg of the playoffs against Orient. I thought he looked really good in that, and I think he struggled again in the home leg. But yeah, I think it is a fitness thing with him. I think he does need a pre-season under his belt. I'm prepared to give him that time. I think if we look at, if we get into October, November next year, and he's still looking like he has done this season, then I think more questions will start to be asked. But at the moment, he's got my support. I'm sure he's got all the fan support, and I think most of us know we want to see him with a pre-season under his belt. So hopefully he gets that pre-season, and I'm just praying he doesn't get injured, because that would really break things up. Look what happened with Tanto as well without a pre-season last season. Really, really sort of made a difficult season for him. I mean, who knows? Maybe if Tanto hadn't got that injury, maybe we are promoted now, because maybe he would have scored more goals. Big thanks as well to Worsley. Absolutely amazing with the super chats. The first one I've ever had on this channel as well. £9.99. Wow, that's absolutely amazing. So big thanks to that one. He says, keep up the great content, my mate. Really enjoy these. So absolutely fantastic. Cheers. Thanks a lot for that one. I'm shocked. I'm shocked. It's the first one I've ever had. So big thanks for that. I really do appreciate it. I mean, that's just paid off some of my season ticket there. So yeah, very, very appreciative of that one. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And that's the kind of support that that we've got amongst these fans at County as well. Brilliant. So yeah, like I say, it disappoints me with Touray, disappoints me with Collar. I want to get people's thoughts on this though, and it's not about dividing people here, but out of those sort of 3 players that have left, and I suppose you could put Noel and all that into the same conversation as well. Which is the one that you felt would have been the most okay with leaving, and which one do you think is the hardest to replace? Because I think it is Horsfall, 100%. So be interested to get people's thoughts on that. Of course, as well, we're also waiting to find out. There's a few other players on that list that we've not heard about. Southern Wales is one. I'm trying to think who the other one is as well now. If I think back, there's a few other players that still haven't. We're in conversation with the club that haven't either left or signed. So I've got to remember who that is. Can anyone remember who those players are that have still waiting to hear on, who've potentially been offered a new deal but haven't necessarily made an official decision yet? I'd be interested to sort of try and remember who that is. And also as well, have you managed to get a season to get everyone? And if so, have you moved? Were you happy with your seat already? And how did you find the new website? Because I thought it worked really well. I was really impressed. I mean, look, it's the small things in life, isn't it? Sometimes that can make your day. And I just thought the fact that you can actually see a 3D view of what the seat would look like from being there, that had me absolutely over the moon with that one, because the other one was just like a sort of generic picture. So yeah, very, very good experience on that site, set up very easily, and at the moment, touch wood, seems to be a lot better than the other one. So yeah, absolutely amazing all round, really. That's just my mate. So yeah, it's just sort of reminded me as well, new kit will be coming out soon as well. So I don't know why, I think I just looked at that one. But yeah, so there's loads happening. And I'm sure we'll find out about players coming in as well shortly. So it's gonna be a mad summer. I do think that. I think big changes are being made, whether or not we like it or not. And we will start to see players come in, and that's when it's gonna get very interesting, because we're gonna have players come in who we don't even know anything about. And some some fans will know bits about the players. Some will pretend to know bits about the players. Some, like me, will probably say, "I've never heard of the player. I've never watched the player before," but I'm excited to to have them sign. And I think Lewis Bate was a little bit like that for me. Sometimes you can just read about a player and be looking forward to watching them playing. I remember reading the profile about Lewis Bate when he came in, and what Sam Wilson and Dave Chowan had said about him, and just based on reading that, and I heard the name previously anyway, but I haven't really watched him play at all. But I was sold on that. So yeah, I am excited to see who comes in. Like I say, and I think other people have said, we must have good players coming in. If we're relaxed on these players leaving, so it does fill me with confidence. Third last season, and very easily could have got second if you go over a few results. And look, in the end, we didn't get second, but we were very close to it. And you can easily say a few results here, a few results there, things would have been very different. And what it's about just correcting those little margins that we, couldn't quite get right last season. And, like I say, left back coming in, is it going to be a starter? Is Rydell getting an opportunity to start? I don't think so. I think Rydell comes back in as a backup again. I do think we go out to sign a first choice left back. That's exciting. I think as well, centre back options. Not heard anything yet on Ethan Pye. Fingers crossed that he's staying. Like I say, he's going to need a centre back partner alongside him with Horsfall leaving. Does Brad Hills come back in now? Who knows on what's going to happen with that one? So yeah, really good comment actually. It's just come in. Man United's under 19-year-old Ethan Williams has been mentioned with County to go out on loan. Yeah, so I was just thinking about that, because I was going to mention it, and I have seen that. And I think it was Decent People who came out with that news as well. So I had actually planned to talk about that. So it's Ethan Williams. We were linked with him in January, and I think he went on loan to Cheltenham in the end. I don't know how well he did there, but I believe he did go out on loan to Cheltenham. And we were also linked with Ethan Wheatley from United as well. And also this month, as well as Ethan Williams, we've also been linked with Jack Morehouse from United as well, which is I think he's an 18-year-old midfielder. So maybe want to keep an eye out with those two players, Ethan Williams and Jack Morehouse. Can I see us bringing in two players for Manchester United on loan? Probably not, because I think two is a lot to come from the same club, I think. But I suppose they know each other well. Like I say, I don't think Morehouse has gone out on loan before. I think Ethan Williams has done, obviously, sort of back end of last season. But at the moment, there's loads of speculation, isn't there, about who we're linked with. And I saw someone saying the other day that we're linked with Tyler and Yango, and he was going to sign for County, in the next few days. A lot of people are saying a lot of things, but for me, look at the accounts that are saying it. Are they journalists? Are they people that would actually have information? Probably not. There's a lot of people pretending to know what's going on. I'm not going to do that. I know most of you probably aren't going to do that. But like I say, there's been loads of names mentioned, and people have spoke about Onyango. As I say, I thought it was interesting, but like I say, it's nothing more than just someone on Twitter saying that they're going to sign this player. Because I was asking for my opinion on Onyango, and I was like, well, he didn't do particularly well when he was here. He started to look good. Was it Forest Green in the cup, and he got injured? And it was like just when he was, I think he'd had 1 or 2 good games, and he was doing well in that Forest Green game, and then he got injured, and he never came back, and then he went back to Everton in January. So that was disappointing. But even if he came back in, I wouldn't see him as anything other than a bench player. He'd have to do a lot, do a lot right to get sort of above being a bench player, because he was a bit of he was a very versatile player, but as well, wasn't he? He could play centre back, right back, midfield, a bit like Jay Mingy. Jay Mingy's kind of in that mould. He's almost a forgotten man at County, Jay Mingy. Fiorini's another one. I mean, we're talking about Will Collar leaving, and we're talking about maybe who's going to replace him. Maybe we found a player already. Maybe this player that we already brought in last summer that we thought could, do a job in that role. Maybe this player we just thought was maybe a year off being ready to be in that role, and maybe Fiorini gets the opportunity with Collar now not there before we dip into the market for someone. Maybe that's the plan, because there's got to be a plan for Fiorini. There's got to be a plan for Hughes. There's got to be a plan for Jay Mingy. These players which were not really sort of part of the squad last season for the most part, almost, as I say, forgotten players. There's got to be a plan in place for what their summer looks like. Is Sam Hughes going to go back out? He's going to leave. We brought him in only a year ago. It was sort of said he had issues settling in. Does that mean we're going to move him on? Does that mean he's going to try and actually settle in at County, in Stockport? Who knows? Do we even think that he's on the level to play for Stockport County, a team which is looking to achieve promotion to Championship? Who knows? And that's a question which you could put at Sam Hughes. It's a question you could put at Jay Mingy. It's a question you could sort of put at Fiorini as well. So, like I say, we're all talking about who's going to come in, but maybe some of these players we've already got replacements, ready-made replacements for in the squad, and that's not some. I wouldn't feel confident saying we've replaced Collar already with Fiorini, but that might be the plan, and maybe the club have seen something we haven't. Alternatively, maybe we've already got a plan of a player we are going to bring in. No one really knows what's happening other than Simon Wilson, and I suspect they're chowing at this point at the moment. But yeah, like I say, he's going to be. It's a point in the year now. It's a point, in the summer where it's going to get really exciting, because we're actually going to get to a point where we're going to start signing players. So we're going to get away from someone on Twitter saying we signed this player. We're going to get to a point where, I'm on here saying we've signed a player because the club have put something official out. And that's when it's going to get interesting. So I am looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the new season, though. But I'm looking forward to seeing who comes in. And hopefully we don't see too many more players that we don't want to leave to part of the club this summer. But I just want to say a big thanks to everyone who has watched live as well. I've enjoyed this. I've enjoyed getting your comments in as well. Love the engagement. I rate that super chat as well. Big thanks on that one. First one on this channel. So yeah, big thanks to you all as well. Like I say, anything that comes in this, throughout the summer, I'll hopefully be able to talk about it as and when it happens. But yeah, big thanks to everyone. Like I say, big summer ahead, because it's going to be a big season ahead, hopefully. So yeah, big thanks to everyone, like I say, who's joined live. If you are watching afterwards, just get your comments in. I'll pretty much hopefully read them. Just get this comment read out as well. Lots of footballers on holiday right now. Give it a few weeks and they'll trickle in. 100% agree with that one as well, because we had that last summer. A load of players seemed to come all at once. And a very valid point. They're all on holiday at the moment. That's probably as well why we might not have heard on some players like Simon Hales and whether or not they're going to be staying. Maybe Collar's just had his holiday, and maybe that's why he's come back and made the decision. Same with Touray, who knows? But very good point to end with about that one. So great comment from Worsley on that one. So yeah, like I said, big thanks to everyone who's tuned in. We'll be back on the channel when we've got something to talk about. And like I say, if you are watching afterwards, get your comments in. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you are new. But yeah, I'll read this other one out, and then I'm gone. Panini said, which Will Collar has been let go? We have two, don't we? Look, it's a very clever comment. If anyone remembers, was it the Rotherham game or the Lincoln game where we put him on the bench and also in the starting 11? It was a game after extra 10. Yeah, I've already made that point on Twitter, so I'm sure people might have seen that already. But yeah, I'm going to go now. So big thanks to everyone. Like I say, do subscribe if you are new, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.